of Trump and his policies. Where does your concern stem from?
Morning, once again, my brother. You know, I did a lot of my schooling, my learning in trade and business in the US. And so the US is a country that I understand very much when you talk about the lay of the land, when you talk about the people, the potential. I was just telling a friend of mine yesterday, if you look at some of the things that Elon Musk is doing, the accuracy with which he's bringing back rockets from space, compared to us here who are trying to just sweep Nairobi and have a decent city. It's, Sandra, if you think about it, it's actually unbelievable because the accuracy of these rockets coming back from Mars is so high that people are saying it looks like a reverse video. This is how advanced the country is. You talked about social media. Every other show that you know around Kenya is on Facebook. Facebook is an American company. I was at lunch somewhere yesterday and I noticed, I didn't know people still take a lot of Coca-Cola. Again, in the remotest parts of anywhere in Africa. And therefore the top 10 brands internationally, including Twitter, which the same Elon Musk bought, I think you know, for $44 billion. Twitter. Elon Musk bought that individually. So when you look at our budget, you know, we are unable to disburse to counties. We're unable to fund education. Mheshimiwa will tell you that he has fought for education almost all his life, risking his life and limb for education. When you look at a country like that, where we have a lot of relatives and a lot of ties and a lot of roots, it has to bother you, Fred, that Trump is a criminal convict. I did not convict him of crime. Trump has many cases. In fact, I was just looking at some international news on my way here where, you know, he was awaiting sentencing on one case, but there's a federal matter to begin on election interference in Georgia. There's many, Trump has many cases, and it's very bothersome that a country would be led by a criminal convict and also somebody who has openly demonstrated racism and what have you. What has brought a lot of confusion in the communication, especially for we Africans, you know, sex and all of that, for some reason, continues to be so exciting. So when you talk about LGBTQ, as Sandra mentioned, then people kind of go crazy, you know. I think the Democrats were just more about inclusivity. I personally love Michelle Obama, the former First Lady, her husband Barack. They're able to articulate issues. But if you look at the demographics, who voted for Trump? I challenge you to go and look at the demographics today. It's, by and large, the white, uneducated male, demographically, and the black, lower educated male, also under 30. These are the people in the rural areas who feel misunderstood, who feel ignored, who feel disenfranchised. That's who voted for Donald Trump. Lastly, Fred, a lot of blame has to go to the current president, Joe Biden. As the campaign was unfolding, for those of you who follow me on social media, I raised two very deep or very large issues. Number one, inflation. So the economy has really rebounded in the US after COVID, but you're earning a lot of money, but at the same time you're spending a lot of money because the cost of food, cost of fuel, etc. And Americans, unlike us here in Kenya, are not very resilient. They're very demanding of a high standard. And so that was an issue that was kind of rubbished off by the Democratic administration, which is a mistake, which is contemptuous. You know, when people say this is the problem we have with cost of living or with teachers, if I'm a leader, I'm not supposed to say, no, but association, you know.
Those are your own things.
Yeah, you're not, leadership is supposed to be sensitive. You're supposed to understand what the people talk about. But also the second point is the killing of children and even journalists in Gaza. How can that be acceptable? So Netanyahu has just continued his campaign on bombing and killing, bombing hospitals, killing children, etc. And Biden, you know, puts in a call and says, don't do it, and then the next day they do it, and Biden does nothing. So this was a tragedy. Having said all of that, Kamala is a a nice lady, a focused lady. It's very disturbing that a country that's almost 250 years old continues to refuse to be led by a woman. And so I really feel bad for her family. I really had a lot of hope that in the short term that she has raised $1 billion and ran for president. I felt that she could really do a lot for inclusivity, for continuity of international relations. Trump has refused to, fund and subscribe such things as NATO and the UN. Sembuse Kenya, our mission in Haiti, which Biden had put some $300 million, you can be sure Trump will radically cut a lot of those things, both on paper and verbally.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
because that's who he is.
You seem to suggest that there won't be any change, but just as one